Terra Incognita visualizes how the world is changing. It brings together maps, satellite images, and figures to show how the world has changed over the last 50 years and what's going to happen over the next 100 years. The key insights are that there have been dramatic changes in all dimensions of the world. The pace of change is huge. And unless we gain perspective and act differently, we're in for a crash. This pandemic is a wake-up call, and what the book shows is that on many other dimensions too, current patterns are unsustainable. And so what the book aims to do is to raise awareness, to allow us to make changes, to create a more inclusive and sustainable world. Businesses have an absolutely crucial role to play. They are the employers, they are the engines of economic growth, they are the creators of new ideas and technologies which allow us to manage these huge complex challenges we face. They also operate across national borders in a way that governments have proved themselves unable to be. And so for business, it's vital that we understand the challenges and the opportunities that are embodied in them. There's never been a better time to create new ideas, and the potential is greater than ever. At the same time, it's a period of disruption. Business as usual is a recipe for disaster for the business and for the world. And so this is about learning faster and creating new businesses out of old businesses, which will be even more effective than the past ones for the business themselves, for the shareholders, for the stakeholders, and for societies. We don't have the information on the last 100 years that allows us to accurately describe things, but we do have photographs, we do have maps, we do have images, and that allows us to see how dramatically things have changed. But even in the time since satellite photography, which is the 1970s, we see 50 years of dramatic change. So we've got great images of cities, of the Amazon, of other areas, and you can see the transformation that's occurred in our lifetimes, if you're as old as me, and that allows you also, and we do, project where this is going and what the likely implications are for the future, for the next 100 years. Well, firstly, COVID-19 was predictable. I've been predicting it every year since my book, The Butterfly Defect, in 2013, which predicted not only a global pandemic, but a global financial crisis resulting from it. So globalization creates systemic risks, and pandemics like this are inevitable. We need to learn how to manage them and to stop them, just like we need to manage and stop climate change, which is also inevitable unless we do something about it. We are seeing out of COVID-19 dramatic improvements in the environment, in the quality of air, in the quality of water, and a reduction in carbon dioxide emissions. But these are temporary. And when we project forward for 100 years, we see these being totally unsustainable. We've got images in the book of Miami underwater, of parts of the UK and Netherlands completely underwater. And any business that's thinking about the future, any government that's thinking about a future, must worry about this. Clearly, most growth is in cities which are on coasts, and that is not sustainable. So stopping climate change, redesigning cities, redesigning where our businesses are to take account of these changes is something that the book reveals and is essential. What's been amazing about the pandemic has been, of course, how we've tracked the spread of the pandemic around the world and also seen the very different impact of the pandemic in different places. Some governments have been very effective and some have been very bad at managing it. And even within the US, different states have had a very different impact of the pandemic. So that illustrates, using the maps, how we can use them to understand policy impacts in different places. They've helped, and I believe if we use them more, we can be helped by them further. And that's not only true of pandemics, it's also managing other threats, as we illustrate in the book. Getting accurate and clear information is more vital now than ever. And there are many different ways of doing it. And we've seen in the US, in the UK, and in many other places, the fight over the statistics and the lack of clarity on basic things like how many people have died as a result of COVID-19. It's revealed the weaknesses of our statistics. And in that process, there are improvements. And what we show in the book is how maps are always in need of improvement. They show the perspective from where you stand and what you can see, and that's always imperfect. And so what we show in the book through evolution of maps over the years is how it gives clarity and how we need to use this as a wake-up call to have a much bigger focus on statistics, on data, and clarity of definition on even simple things like what deaths is this pandemic causing. Well, this is a big book, and it took a lot of work to produce, and we're not about to do a new one. The maps in it, which really cover the past 50 years and look forward, I believe are relatively robust. But there's always room for improvement, and what we want to do is develop a website that will be living and active, which allows animations around this. And clearly, as the book was being finalized, COVID-19 was marching around the world. So we haven't been able to capture the full impact of COVID-19. And in a future edition of the book, that is something that we'd like to do. But it's got so many other trends in it around issues of demography, food, technology, trade, investment, and many more, that health and COVID-19 is only one aspect, and we believe the others, which do reflect the early impacts of COVID-19, will remain robust for a few years at least to come. It's like asking which is your favorite children after you've been looking after them all. There are many fascinating maps. The map I found most shocking was the maps that show the impact of climate change on different cities, of ocean rise. By conservative estimates, you see which cities will be affected and how. I think those are dramatic. I think the satellite images of the sky at night and lights, comparing, say, New York to Europe to Africa, and you see the same number of people in very different luminosity has been startling. Comparing city growth over time to see how it's changed. Amazon, parts that are being deforested and not. There are many images in the book which I think readers will find fascinating and startling. And it's a question of what interests one most.